0 to 60 can define a performance car, but it's the fastest 60 to 0 that's the aim of Terox brakes. From road cars to race cars, circuits, special stages, or the autostrada, nothing reduces speed like Terox brakes. Italy gave the world the art of Da Vinci and Michelangelo. Terox has given drivers the art of stopping. For more information and to acquire your own masterpiece, visit terox.co.uk. Yes, it's me, Mark Stone, and this is the Backseat Driver Podcast. It's the fastest, it's the friendliest, and it's for all the family. The Gas Shocks 116 Trophy and 120 Coupe Cup are the fastest growing race series in the UK, taking in 6 one-hour races and 8 sprints at all the top circuits. Visit 116trophy.com to find out more and get yourself behind the wheel. From a pot of tea to TT motorbikes. From a classic English breakfast to a full serving of classic cars. Bridge House Tea Rooms is the Northwest premier classic car meeting location for cars, bikes, tractors and owners clubs. So no matter what your automotive appetite might be, visit Bridge House Farm Tea Rooms on their Facebook page or call John and Alicia on 07980 444 221 for show details and to reserve your own table and parking space. I'm here today in Brighouse with Miller's Oils. Miller's Oils have been lubricating Yorkshire and beyond for over 130 years. It's one of those strange things with Miller's Oils. They are a good Yorkshire company based here in Brighouse, but they have an international reputation and association with all forms of lubrication, motorsport and everything else. So I'd like to introduce Andy Ogley, Technical Research and Development Manager for Miller's Oils. Andy, welcome to the Backseat Driver Radio Show.
Thank you. Good morning.
Now, the reason we're here in many respects is to talk about fuel additives. But before that, like I said, Millers have been lubricating Yorkshire and beyond for 130 years. Can you just fill us in on Miller's Oil's history?
Originally, we go back 130 years and it was the time of the mills and factories, and that's where it started. And obviously then the combustion engine came along and we met that challenge. And then off-road applications, marine, trucks, cranes, everything that's got an engine in, we will lubricate for.
Or needs lubricating.
Yeah, but not forgetting our history with machinery, industrial applications, and we still have a strong presence in those areas today. But along now with automotive, it's still a big player for us. And as you've mentioned, we sell globally, so a third of our business is actually export.
Yeah, I think the thing is with Miller's, a lot of people know what you might call the big companies, but Miller's is as big, it just, some reason doesn't seem to keep shouting about it quite as much as the other guys.
Obviously, we don't have the marketing budget of some of the big guys. We like to think we fight above our weight and we fight our battles as we can.
The one thing Millers do, the technology and research, you are the R&D manager. You put as much into your research as any other manufacturer, don't you?
Yes, giving our size, and we rely on also technology from chemical manufacturers and some of the big fuel additive manufacturers to help us make the finished products. So yeah, we're spending some money. We're also spending a lot of time with our customers proving these products actually work, because there's no better environment than actually taking it out of the lab and actually putting it in the field.
And see if it works.
And see if it works. And we have many willing customers who are happy to see that the product is just what it says on the can, basically.
Now, as I said, the main reason for being here today is the new E10 unleaded fuel. It's been my contention that there's not a lot of information being released on it, or as much as there should be. And if you go to certain fuel stations, it now says on the E10 unleaded pump, please check your car can run on this fuel. But there's no method whilst you're there of being able to check if your car can run on this fuel.
No, this is true.
One of the things that Millers are producing are additives. I mean, what are technically the pitfalls or the downsides of E10 fuel? Because, of course, it's got an increased amount of ethanol in it.
So the big concern is the fact that ethanol is hygroscopic. So it just absorbs water. It's very good. It's like salt. If you leave salt in the open, you can see it absorbing water. Ethanol is exactly the same. And so once you have water in the system, you're then producing a corrosive mixture. And for taking it to the worst case scenario, you can then have water and ethanol separating out from the gasoline or from the petrol and having two phases. And that obviously then is a real issue. And corrosion, and also on the metal parts, but also the ethanol and water mixture produces an acid species, which would then attack not only the metals, but also some of the plastics and rubbers and diaphragms and seals and hoses that you have in the fuel system.
Yeah, this is one of the problems everybody now, or more and more people know, especially classic car owners or people. It's not so much classic cars, it's older cars. A lot of people now buy a car. They don't change it every 2 years like what they used to do once over. People now run cars for 10 and 15 years because they're capable of running for that period of time and running reliably. But a lot of these, what you might call slightly older modern engines, will not benefit from this. So it's not a pure classic car dilemma. It's older engines.
No, and according to the government, there's about 500,000 to 600,000 vehicles that are potentially at risk of some level of fuel damage due to the E10. But that 500,000, 600,000 also includes the classic car park and some motorcycles as well. So the real issue here is the cars from the mid-2000s.
Yeah.
The first generation of the Volkswagen family of cars that were on direct injection gasoline. They're the first real issue. But if you look at the time scale, you're talking here 2005, 2006 models, 2007. So a lot of those vehicles now are naturally coming to the end of their life.
Yeah.
Some of them might end up in the classic car pool. Some probably won't.
It depends on your definition. I mean, this is the story. I mean, if you find a classic, some people, one man's classic is another man's. Should be going to the scrap yard.
Yeah. And maybe a Passat of that generation of that time would not find its way into the classic car. But so those cars will be naturally taken out of the car pool in the next few years anyway. So, and that 500,000 to 600,000 won't get any bigger.
Yeah,
and the number of vehicles will get lower and lower as time goes by. But there's still those vehicles still have to be catered for at this moment in time, and this is where the need for the fuel additives come along. However, our classic car customers already know the score and are already buying these additives because they have to for when E5 was introduced many years ago. And also these additives are already in the marketplace across Europe because the likes of France and Germany have been on E10 for the best part of 10 years. So this is not a great surprise to the industry.
Yeah.
It might be for the consumer, and I think it has been for the consumer. And you see the conflicting messages brought out by government or brought out by some of the motoring organisations, different sources of trying to say the same thing, but all possibly leading to confusion.
Yeah. And
then you see on the pumps where some of the service stations have maybe not upgraded the pumps completely yet, and you get misleading information on the pumps. And I've seen, when I've been filling up, people standing there scratching their heads, going, "Oh, is this for me? Can I use this now?" So and I think the other message that's not really got across is if you do mistakenly fill up an at-risk vehicle with E10, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
You can safely drive.
It's not going to expire half a mile down the road.
You can safely drive away from the forecourt and nothing will happen. Because if you're doing a normal drive cycle, you're probably another 2 weeks away from filling up again.
Yeah.
And you go back and fill up with what you should have filled up with.
Yeah.
No harm done.
The additives that millers have developed, what exactly are the additives? Also, what are they called? Because I'm hoping listeners after this will all run out to their nearest miller's oils distributor and go and stock up on it.
Well, the actual chemistries involved, there's many chemistries involved that you can use to arrest the issue of ethanol corrosion via water. A whole family of chemicals. And we've chosen a family of chemicals that basically act as ethanol soluble and petrol-soluble alcohol-based corrosion inhibitors. And these work, and they've worked for E5. They're also the same sort of chemicals that the refineries and the terminals would use to put into the bulk storage tanks. So
because if you think about it, a bulk storage tank is nothing more than a very large fuel tank.
Exactly. So they have to be maintained.
Yeah.
But obviously you're talking millions and millions of gallons of petrol being stored.
Which daft as it sounds, though, or not daft as it sounds, like the fuel tank in your car will have a regular turnover. It'll be filled up and emptied, filled up and emptied.
Well, and it's a process that also gives rise to the potential for water to get into the system.
Yeah.
Because you're creating a gap, an air gap. And water, as we well know, especially in our climate, we have quite a humid climate, will find its way into the system. So it's important for the big fuel tanks to be protected as well. And we're taking that technology and scaling it down to the fuel tank in your car, in your vehicle. And that's the chemistry we're using. And we have for several years produced a range of products that just one product that just is for ethanol protection, which we have. But we have also a series of other products where we provide ethanol protection, we provide octane booster, we provide lead replacement. And again, all of these originally aimed for the classic car market, which otherwise these classic cars wouldn't be able to work.
I can remember when the introduction of unleaded and the sheer horror, because everybody had to have the valve seats redone.
Yes.
Or there were additives that got you round that until you saved up enough to have your valve seats redone.
Yes. So that was a real step change in the fuel quality. Going from where we are today, from E5 to E10, that's a small step. It's not requiring huge amounts of engine rebuilds to accommodate the fuel. And as we've said, in the big scheme of things, the number of vehicles susceptible to the damage is quite small compared to the car park in the UK of about 40 million vehicles, passenger car, light duty vehicles, of which 500,000 may be at risk. So it's a small issue that maybe has been slightly exaggerated. And people have created confusion in the marketplace.
It's like I said, in my opinion, the government hasn't put enough what you would call simple, understandable information out, which has allowed various aspects of it all to generate scaremongering. Because I've read various reports from the motoring organisations and independents, and they all have said, and I've also reported on this show, it can have a detrimental effect on your fuel tanks, your fuel pumps, your lines, fuel lines, your seals and everything else. But the one thing is, like you said, it isn't an immediate detrimental effect.
No, it's what I would term, it's a chronic effect. The effect takes a long time and you might never ever see it.
Yeah.
You might never ever see it. I think one of the other things that hasn't really been mentioned about the introduction of E10 is you might actually see a drop in fuel economy.
Yeah, that's one thing I have been told. It won't go as far. It technically has the reverse effect of what the government wants, because you'll end up using more of it.
Potentially, yes.
Potentially, yes.
Yes. So there will be a slight detriment in your fuel economy, and you will, over the lifetime of the vehicle, have to fill up more.
Yeah.
Because of the less energy contained in the fuel now with E10, it means you have to back that up by just filling up more.
Yeah.
And that's been glossed over, focusing on the potential engine damage.
Yeah.
And I suppose the rationale for that would be engine damage would probably cost more to repair than your fuel, maybe a 1 or 2% increase in fuel consumption.
So your additives, there is no one additive that is the cure-all to everything, but which additives do you recommend?
Again, it depends on the application and where you are in the chain of, are you a classic car owner? Are you one of these owners of these 500, 600,000 vehicles? Majority of them are the Volkswagen family. There are some Ford vehicles. I think the first generation of Mazda MX-5 is in there as well.
Yeah.
So there are some cars in there. So it depends. But if you just want...
Because just put it would appear that certain manufacturers, older engines, won't have a problem with this, but other manufacturers' older engines will have a problem with this.
Yes. And again, many manufacturers saw the E5, E10 coming long before it actually arrived.
Yeah.
So they already started to change some of the components in the fuel system to use ethanol-friendly seals, ethanol-friendly elastomer, changing how they coated some of the metals to accommodate that. Obviously,
just but I conclude they have to also alter the ECU, the engine management, because engine management works out. If you go abroad and you put some, shall we say, lesser grade fuel in, your engine might pink a little bit when you start it up, but the ECU, the engine control, or the onboard computers should technically make the adjustments to allow the engine to run.
Yeah, and all modern engines today will have knock sensors in. So as soon as they detect some level of knock or pinking, the timing will be changed to adjust. And that's been a given for probably the best part of 15, maybe even longer for some of the more
I can remember
vehicles.
cars having ECUs in the 80s, and it was quite a thing then. The cars have got a computer in it.
But getting back to the additives, we have additives that are just for the ethanol protection, and that's what it does. It will protect against the ethanol. It'll protect all the metal surfaces. We cannot guarantee that these additives will protect the seals and the elastomers, because it's very difficult to protect them. And the fuel itself will also have an effect on these elastomers. But the main issues are the metal corrosion, and that's what these additives do. We also have other additives where we combine the ethanol protection with lead replacement. And this is basically for your classic car that really can only run on leaded fuel initially. And obviously, it's very difficult now to get leaded fuel. You can still get it at some racetracks, but very almost impossible to get it on forecourts now. And we also have additives where you can combine the ethanol protection with the lead replacement, but also with an octane boost. So
are these all in one bottle? Or do you have to go and buy 3 bottles for it?
No, we can provide 3 separate bottles. No, we also have a product that has all 3 combined.
What are these products called? Feel free to tell us.
Okay, so we have EPS, which stands for imaginatively called Ethanol Protection System.
Yeah,
EPS, and then we have VSPE, which is basically a combination of all these. And again, we have a combination of classic car buyers, normal buyers who just feel they want a little bit of extra performance from their car, and they'll buy the VSPE for the octane rating. And it basically may not make the vehicle faster, but it makes it potentially run more efficiently. Yeah. Which then is always a better option than maybe just taking something straight from the fuel pumps.
It's like I said, though there are others available, I run my cars on Shell V-Power. A lot of people think with the performance petrol, your car will go faster. It doesn't go faster. It's actually more economical.
Yes.
Yeah. And I conclude as some of your additives, this is, besides protecting the engine and, shall we say, negating the ethanol problems, it will just make everything more efficient.
Yes, because if you're adding an octane booster to the E10, which is basically a 95 octane, you're basically pushing it towards 97, 98. Yeah. Which takes it into the sort of super unleaded. Yeah. And that comes...
So in many ways, your additives turn basic unleaded into super unleaded, simplified down.
Yes, basically, yes. Yeah. If you want to go down that route, yes, we have many subscribers to our product that do that. Yeah. But we also have many subscribers to the product that just want to take the ethanol protection. Yeah. And they do. A lot of the classic car buyers, we're coming into this part of the year now where these cars are going to be laid up. Yeah. And so there's now a time where they have to decide, do they drain the system down? Do they drain the fuel system down?
Because the one thing a lot of people don't know is, and don't realise, is petrol goes off.
Yes. Yeah, it's a through product. It's meant to be used. It's not meant to be stored. If you look at the big storage tanks at the refineries and the terminals, they're turned over at a regular rate because you'll have oil tankers coming up and you're taking 25,000 litres of time out. And they're continuously being topped up.
Because most people are told if you're going to put your classic up for over winter, don't do it with a full tank of petrol because it is actually not good for it. And when you come to start it up, it's not forced to start up again in the spring.
No, in an ideal world, what you would do there is you completely drain down the system. Yeah. And then you'd put in, but before you drain down, you'd put in a corrosion inhibitor that will remain on the surface once the fuel has been drained down. Yeah. Obviously, that's very difficult or time-consuming for people to do. So the other thing to do would be to actually do the complete opposite and completely fill the tank up. Yeah. So you've got minimal air gap, so there's minimum time for the water or space for the water to come in. Yeah. And you also use a corrosion inhibitor or ethanol protection system to counter that. And it's the same scenario for motorcycles. They suffer from the same thing. Yeah. And many motorcycle owners take their tanks off before the start of the winter season, drain down, and hope that nothing happens during the winter. Yeah.
Now these additives, I conclude it's one little bottle per tankful.
Yeah. So we have 2 distributing. So we have what we call a single shot. So usually 250 mils in this single shot will cover about a 50-litre tank. Yeah. But then we have what's called a multi-shot, where we have a 500 mil bottle, but it's graduated, and 50 mils will then, from this multi-shot, will cover 50 litres. So 1 mil per 1 litre per 1 mil of fuel.
So one of these bottles will do a few tanks with.
Yes. Yeah. And again, the classic car owner will be will usually have the single shot because they might not use 50 litres of fuel.
Yeah.
Whereas the vehicle that's used more often on the road, they'll use the multi-shot.
So that's designed more for the people who run an older car as a daily driver.
Yes. Yeah. Also, some of the buyers of the multi-shot are also using this product in garden machinery.
Oh.
So lawnmowers and chainsaws and trimmers and blowers, because they suffer from the same problem. It's a combustion engine, and they're being forced to potentially use E10.
Because I suppose the problem is with like chainsaws, in many respects, the modern chainsaw is still a two-stroke because
it is.
You put these little bright red additives into your petrol, then you put it in, so there's still a two-stroke.
Yeah,
anyway.
And people don't change their garden machinery every summer. Some of this garden machinery might be quat old. I'm sure there's
my trimmer's getting on in it.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's some fantastically old Briggs and Stratton
lawnmowers
out there that are probably requiring this. And then there's the other requirement for boats.
Yeah,
for
I
marine
suppose the problem with
applications.
marine is you've got the problem of salt kicking around.
Oh,
the place.
yeah, marine is probably one of the harshest environments. You've got the salt. You've just got it's in always the humid environment. You've got massive temperature fluctuations depending on where the fuel tank is.
Yeah.
So those applications also require these type of additives.
Yeah.
For marine. So it's not just the cars that are susceptible to this.
Yeah. Now, besides the additives, Millers are known for a complete cross-section of oil. The one thing I know you do is you do the nanotechnology, which is oil with little brains in it, from what I was once told. That's the simplest way. It's oil with lots of little brains in it. And then all the way through to classic oils for classic cars. How does the nanotechnology work? And is it designed purely for the very latest of engines?
The nanotechnology is a combination of additives that we've developed over time that produces the sort of fine balance of lowering the friction of the lubricant while still maintaining engine durability and engine wear. Because you can reduce the friction of a lubricant quite easily, but you can actually then quite easily damage the engine because the oil just becomes too thin or becomes too slippery.
Yeah.
So it's getting that balance. And that's where the nanotechnology comes from. And obviously from a motorsport perspective where we use it quite extensively, reduction in friction is an increase in power. An increase in power means I might go faster. But also those professional sports drivers and the enthusiasts, they want their engines and vehicles to last. So providing the wear protection alongside the friction reduction is absolutely key. What we have done over the past few years is also extend the use of the nanotechnology into more mainstream road applications.
Yeah.
And we have a series of products that do that. Again, we have a selection of customers who take their cars on the track.
Yeah.
For track days, and they would like not maybe to use the full out and out motorsport products we have, but to have used products that have some of the nanotechnology in. That's where we see that today.
Now, the other thing is that's got the modern oils will be synthetic oils, will they not?
They will, yes. They're synthetic, but as we move towards our other ranges like the classic, they're not, and they.
So I'm going to say the classics is proper oil.
Proper oil, yeah, mineral based oil, because when those cars were modern, synthetic fluids didn't exist.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to put synthetic products into cars that are 50, 60, 70 years old.
Yeah.
They were designed to run on thick, reliable
sticky oil.
Mineral oil, with quite short drain intervals.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd just be...
Yeah, because back then cars had an oil change quite frequently.
They did. One thing that's really changed since then is going back, is actually the quality of the fuel.
Yeah.
The fuel is much nicer to the vehicles than it was back in the day, because we're looking at sulfur-free fuel.
Yeah.
So the corrosive properties of the fuel itself, apart from the ethanol, are quite low compared to what they were. The old-fashioned type classic car products that we have work even better now than they did, because the less aggressiveness from the fuel, so they work a lot better.
Now, the classic car market and the classic car movement in England is vast. It was worked out that classic car ownership has increased by 250,000 over the past 12, 18 months. Though it is, shall we say, a relatively fixed market, how much research do you guys put into your classic car oils? Because technically every year it's getting older, and you'll be looking forward to modern technology and things like that. Or do you still do a lot of research into your classic cars?
What we've done on the classic car is basically we know what works.
Yeah.
So we take the view, if it's worked for all these years, let's use the same technology. what some of the technology that we use in some of the base oils that we now are able to buy are more modern and are more in tune with modern refining techniques. But the actual additives that we use, we know what levels and what type, and we stick to those.
Yeah.
And there's no point in really bringing in fantastic new technology to a vehicle that's so old.
Yeah.
We stick to what works.
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
Because I suppose there's no great benefit to the vehicle to bring something out, to bring a new product out for a 60-year-old vehicle.
No.
They're not going to be building any more 60-year-old vehicles.
No. And also, as you can probably well imagine, bringing in new technology, there's a cost element to it. Suddenly, if you're buying your classic car and it was this price, and then suddenly, I'm paying 20% more.
Yeah.
Why? So we've kept to the ethos as we know what works. It's worked all this time. Let's stick to it.
Yeah.
And again, obviously, we can tell by what's being bought, which are the grades that are the ones that, and we can fine tune those, and maybe over time there'll be a less products available.
Yeah.
Because people they're buying their monograde 30s, they're buying their monograde 40s.
Yeah.
Some might have graduated to a 20W50 and they're happy with it.
Yeah.
And there's no need to bring out exotic viscosity grades for these cars because it could be actually more detrimental than staying on.
So a good old-fashioned oil is probably still the way to go for certain classic cars.
Yeah, and also we have a lot of classic trucks and buses out there.
Yeah.
And they rely on good old-fashioned technology as well.
Now, your involvement with motorsport is anybody who watches the British Touring Car Championship, the full package, not have seen your associations with Ginetta, which is another Yorkshire firm. What involvement do you guys still have with motorsport? I mean, as like I said, if you open your eyes, you suddenly notice the stylized letter M pop up in a variety of places.
Yeah, that's obviously Ginetta is the most prominent. And thanks to ITV4, there's good TV coverage on the support card for British touring cars for both the main Ginetta series and probably the even more exciting Ginetta Junior series, which we're involved in. But we work quite closely with Ginetta also on some of the road vehicles that they're producing, and we provide them lubricants, engine lubricants and transmission fluids that they homologate their vehicles on. Yeah. And we'll have Ginetta approved products for their GT40s, 50s, etc. vehicles. So that's the involvement. It also helps with them being 30 minutes up the road. And so that helps the development of both products, and also the racing helps as well, because Ginetta drivers or teams that are running Miller's oils, for us, that's the best test lab. Yeah. And
when the cars are braced, do you get the oil back? You don't mind. Do you get the oil back to have a look at?
So yes, on a fairly regular basis, we just get it. We do just for a health check and peace of mind. Yeah, we do analysis just to see, and we very rarely see any issues. We don't see any issues either on transmissions or on the engines. The engines run.
Besides the cars, are involved with motorbikes and all sorts of things, aren't you?
Yes, to a lesser extent, yes. But we're involved in everything. We have to be careful on where we get involved because we're not a big player. We're not a Castrol or a...
Yeah, but we're not being funny. I've always thought it, because I said I've not so much associated with it, but I've dealt with Miller's Oils on and off. One of the benefits of Miller's Oils is it's a small company. Yes. I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but it is a small company. Yeah, it's easy to deal with.
Sizes can have its strengths in some areas, but being small and being maybe nimble and fast to react is also a strength that we have. Yeah, which has helped us. Especially helped us over the last 2 or 3 years with the way the world has gone.
Where, as regards things moving on, what is Miller's, shall we say, without giving secrets away, what is Miller's, shall we say, direction, or what are you looking at in the future for oil?
There's the whole commotion of going electric, which is obviously a big...
Because love them or loathe them, they'll still need lubricants.
They will, yes, and maybe just different types. So you might need more coolants for the battery packs. But you'll still need potentially transmission fluids. You'll still need greases. You'll still need hydraulic fluids, but also the factories that are producing the hardware for these vehicles will still need lubricants. Yeah. So from an industrial point of view, you'll still need cutting fluids and hydraulic fluids, and so the whole thing just doesn't stop because the world's gone electric. Yeah. From a lubricant point of view, and we also can't lose sight of there's a massive car park still out there. Yes. Of vehicles that are used.
Because no matter what our beloved politicians say, there's a cut-off date. Internal combustion engines will be around for a long time.
A long time. And you don't know. You might see people now keeping hold of their beloved combustion engine vehicle for much longer.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to go to an electric vehicle because maybe it's a little bit too expensive, or they're concerned about how can I go and see my friend who's 250 miles away and know that I'll get there without having to charge up, like that. So that's yet to be seen how that dynamic plays out. But one thing's for sure, we have in the UK alone, we have 40 million vehicles that need to be lubricated. Yeah, and then across Europe, there's another probably 300 million.
Yeah. Oil will be required.
Oil will be required, yes.
If somebody wants to get over your products, we're in Yorkshire in Brighouse, so I should imagine it could be easier if you're in Yorkshire. But how do people find out where to get the Miller's Oils products?
If you can buy through our website, or you can buy through Halfords. You'll now see us in Halfords.
Yeah.
But we also have many online options. We have an online outlet with OP Oils. And ironically, OP Oils are not in Yorkshire. They're down in the southwest.
Yeah.
But they provide an excellent service if you want to buy online. And I think they can turn things around within 24, 48 hours, depending on the size of the order. But they will also be able to help. But we also, for the more sporty enthusiast, the likes of Demon Tweaks, their magazine and website, you'll find us in there. So we have a good presence. And recently we've increased our presence in Halfords.
So the website is all the W's, millersoils.co.uk. And you actually have quite an active Facebook page as well.
Yes, it is. And we have a lot of active hits on the website. And we have a lot of active hits here on our help desk, either via email or by people picking up that thing called the phone.
Yeah. Yes, I remember those.
Yeah.
From the days when people used to talk to each other.
Yes. And that's still active. Although we have seen a change over the last 18 months from phone to email.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because people had more time on their hands. I'm not sure, but we have seen that sort of shift. But what we have seen is that the total number of inquiries has increased.
Right.
So which is good.
And with any luck after today's show, the inquiries will go up and the sales will go up.
We'll probably confuse them even more now.
Andy Ogley, Miller's Oils, thank you very much for joining me on the Backseat Driver Radio Show, and I'm hoping some of the things you've told us has explained the potential problems and how to get round the dreaded E10 fuel.
Thank you.
Rarely beaten on price, never beaten on service. Whether it's cars, bikes or commercials, Hoddy Tyres are the best in the business. And when it comes to tyre expertise and advice to supplying the correct tyres for your vehicle's specific requirements, nobody comes close to David Lakin and the Hoddy Tyres team. So give them a call on 01200 613 192 or visit the website at hoddytyres.co.uk.